Adam walks out with the Supreme Commander children, and Kenji's like, Adam.
Adam!
Hey guys, it's me, Amelia. Welcome back to my channel. Yes, I did get bangs last night. My sister did it for me. Today I'm going to be discussing whether I think Imagine Me was a good conclusion to the Shatter Me series. To put it frankly, I think it was a good conclusion, but I don't think it was that great. I was pretty disappointed with a lot of things, but obviously there were things that I really loved and I did cry, so just putting that out there. Going into the book, I had pretty low expectations just because the last book, Defy Me, was not good. It was not good. And I wasn't even counting down for when this book would come out. I didn't even know it was out until someone posted it on Twitter that they were reading it. I honestly just wasn't looking forward to it because I feel like the second trilogy, by first trilogy I mean the first 3 books, second trilogy the last 3 books, I feel like the second trilogy was just not really my cup of tea, but I did like revisiting the characters. But going into it, I didn't have that big of expectations, but I still expected some things that I thought would be there that weren't, and it really broke my heart. The first trilogy was definitely on a whole another level. I remember when it was first announced that there would be 3 more books, I was so excited, and thinking of my excitement then and me now, I feel like I was very disappointed. Like, just thinking of then and now, I just don't think it lived up to my expectations of when it was first announced. But obviously, because it did go in a very different direction, which I understand. But there were even things I expected in Ignite Me that didn't happen, and I thought it would happen in the second trilogy, and it just didn't. And I'm gonna get into that. So just to get into the good things first, because I did love a lot of things. I gave this book 4 stars, so there were a lot that I liked. The beginning scene with Juliet, I think she was screaming, and Warner was trying to help her, and Kenji came. Just that beginning part of the book, I loved that so much. I felt like it was so vivid and real. The pacing made it seem so... It was like a movie. Like, if that scene was a movie, it would have been like one of the best scenes. It was just phenomenal, like with everything happening, and Juliet's like screaming, and Warner's like trying to help her, and Kenji's like frozen. It was just like such a, I could just imagine it, and just like putting that out there, I love that scene. I also really loved how this book was a return to the Warner that we all fell in love with. I love that he went back to his old self, the self he kind of was when he wasn't with Juliet, and we saw him being mean again, and we saw him being cold, and I was like, yes, like this is the Warner I fell in love with. In Restore Me and in Defy Me, we only saw like his lovey side because he was so lovey to Juliet, and I was like, I kind of miss the other Warner, and then we got him again. Something else I really loved, and I feel like some people might hate me for this, but I really loved seeing Anderson and kind of his human side, and you might argue that he has no humanity, but we could really see like Anderson as a human being. We could see kind of his friends, his society, the people he spends time with, and just the way he talks to people around him, like with Max and just the Supreme Commanders. It was really interesting. Like, we saw his kind of human side, which before, like, he was very one-dimensional, but then we got to see his interactions with people, and I just found that really interesting because he definitely seemed a lot more human. It was also really interesting to see Juliet's thoughts about Anderson had she not known how horrible of a person he was, and I know that she was kind of brainwashed and programmed, but it was just so, like, we've just never seen her not hating him, and it was just so weird, like them not fighting. I think that was interesting, and the fact that she found him as attractive, girl. But I mean, like, obviously he's attractive because he's Adam and Warner's dad, and they're both real attractive, and we got to see the way he thinks, like firsthand from him, not from Warner. So I think that was really interesting as well, just to see his perspective on everything. Something else, I don't know if anyone noticed, but because I've read the first trilogy so many times, I have a lot of sentences memorized. And when Juliet woke up from her coma, she says this: "He touches my cheek, soft, so soft, like he's not sure if I'm real, like he's afraid if he gets too close, I'll just, oh, look, she's gone, she's disappeared." And she says that right after she wakes up from her coma. And literally that sentence was in one of the books. I don't remember which one, but I remember that exact sentence. And I noticed a lot of sentences in the book were the exact same sentences in other books. And I was like, oh my god, like, I remember this sentence. I just think that's a really cool parallel, how she put the same sentences from old books into this book. And also, like, please don't shoot me for this. And it's a similar scene. She just woke up from her coma as well. And it says, I hear the small hitch in his breath, the hesitation. It's the first time I've used his name so casually. And that's after she says Aaron. And that was literally an ignite me. And then Warner says yes. And she says, I want you to know that I don't think you're crazy. And he says, what? And she's like, I don't think you're crazy. I don't think you're a psychopath. I don't think you're a heartless murderer. I think you're a good person. And it's like, Warner is blinking fast now. I can hear him breathing in and out. And I'm like, bro, like, that was an ignite me. And like, we get that. And it's not in like italics. It's like, it's put like an actual scene. And I love how it was kind of like a mix between reality and the past. But Juliet doesn't know that. She's just like in the moments from Ignite Me. And it's like happening again. Like, I know it doesn't really make sense, but I just really love that. Like, it was like the past, but like the present. And it was just such a cool like mix of her going in and out of now and the past, if that makes sense. Something I really loved, and this was my favorite thing about this book, my favorite scene, was when Winter and Juliet finally saw each other after her getting kidnapped. And she didn't know who he was, but she kind of felt like she knew him. And that scene was just so hot. I was like, bro, like, it was like a scene, you know? It's like one of those Warnet scenes that you just want to remember forever. And it was so heartwarming. And I was like, this is like it. Like, this is what I wanted. Something else I liked, and I think that this is the last thing that I liked, is Kenji. I really like his character, and I really did like getting a lot of chapters from him. But this is also kind of bad because we didn't get any Warner chapters except the epilogue, which makes no sense. But I'll get into that, into like why I really don't think this is a great conclusion. But yeah, I really liked Kenji. I loved getting his perspective. The second trilogy made me like love him even more because I didn't really like him that much in the first trilogy. So now I'm gonna talk about the things I didn't like. And there's a lot of things that I didn't like because this is like the last book of the series, and I just thought it would be a little bit better. So firstly, and this is the main thing that I think, well, not the main thing, but like it's a huge part of it. I don't like how Warner had like no interactions with his brothers, and that really bothers me. When the first trilogy ended, James had no idea that Warner was his brother. They weren't ready to tell him. I mean, they don't think he was ready to know. And when Ignite Me ended, I was like, oh my god, I really want to see the scene where James finds out that Warner is his brother and they kind of bond, and that would just be really cute. So when the second trilogy was announced, I was like, oh my god, James is gonna find out and they're gonna have like a really cute scene. And like where? The only thing we got was one scene where James is like, oh yeah, I know. Like, he's not, like, we don't even see him finding out, okay? It's just like, yeah, I know. And then Warner is like interrogating him. And I'm like, bro, like, you guys are bros. Like, why is there no, like, there was like no bonding. And Kenji was like, oh my god, this is kind of cute. But then Warner's like, I was just interrogating him. Like, I don't really care. And I'm like, rude. And that just made me really sad. Especially the fact that Juliet wasn't even there to witness it, because we were in her perspective where she was like, oh my god, James and Warner don't know that they're siblings. James doesn't know. And then we don't even get her like seeing them find out. And we don't even get them like spending time together. I'm so sad. And literally the fact that there's one scene with Adam and it was in the epilogue for like, I don't know, like 2 pages. Like, what is that? Adam was such like, I don't know, like a prominent, I don't know what that word means. He was such like an important main character in the first 2 or 3 books. And in this trilogy, he just like disappeared. If there is music in the back, my family just came home. And they like to play music. I know that a lot of people didn't like Adam. I know that a lot of fans of the series hate him because of his attitude in Ignite Me. and in whatever, they just don't like him. And I feel like maybe because of that, Tahereh just like kicked him out of the series because like no one likes him anyway. So I changed my mind. I watched Tahereh Mafi's live stream, which occurred after I filmed this video, and I guess Adam was just a sort of character who had no interest in fighting against the reestablishment, and so that made him an irrelevant character to the story. But still, I'd love to see more of him, even if it doesn't have to do with fighting against the reestablishment. But I really would have loved him kind of getting redeemed, because he never got redeemed. So again, I watched her live stream and she said he didn't get redeemed because there was nothing he needed to be redeemed for. He was just a character who wanted the best for his younger brother, and there was nothing wrong with that. And I totally agree with that. I don't think he did anything that needed redemption, but I guess I also meant that I wanted him to be on better terms with everyone else, since there was a lot of disagreements between them that weren't really tackled. We didn't get that confrontation with Adam, where it was like, why did you sell us out to Anderson, which he did in Imagine Me for James' safety. Like, he gave the power which stopped other people's power, and we got no confrontation with him. He didn't get to redeem himself. We got like nothing from him, and that's really, really sad. Like I said, I didn't have a lot of expectations for the last book, but I definitely, like, the one thing I was expecting was kind of an Adam redemption, where he was like cool. Like, I expected him to be in this book and to have some interactions with Warner. They didn't even interact, except for like the epilogue. Did they even interact in the epilogue? I don't even know. And that like personally hurt me, because it would have been really cute. I loved their rooftop scene. I don't know which book, like Ignite Me. I love their rooftop scene. I think it was at the rooftop. It's been years. Where they were just discussing everything together, and I'm just really sad. Also, in one of the chapters, Adam walks out with the Supreme Commander children, and Kenji's like, Adam. Oh my god, the vine.
Adam!
And Kenji's like, Adam. I mean, he says it in his head. And it's just the next chapter, and Adam's gone. When Kenji said Adam, I was like, oh my god, Adam's here. We're gonna get Adam scenes. He's gonna get redeemed. And then it was just the next chapter, and Adam was like not even there. And then we get him in the epilogue. Like, what is that? I just want to put it out there that it's not like I want Adam to be in the book so much because like I love his character. I just feel like him as a character was left at such an awkward spot in the series, and there was no closure. Also, why didn't we get any Warner chapters except for the epilogue? First, I thought it was going to be because Warner knew something that Tahereh Mafi didn't want the audience to know, so we didn't get his mind because he knew something that we weren't supposed to know. But he didn't know anything. And it's like, why didn't we get his perspective? The Kenji perspectives could have been given to Warner, and I don't know why that was the author's choice to not give Warner any chapter. I just don't get it. Like, I need an explanation. And I got one. I didn't watch the whole live stream, but I heard from someone else that she said she didn't give Warner any chapters because his thoughts were too violent now that Juliet's gone, and I see how that makes sense as an author's choice, but coming from a reader's perspective, I would have loved to see his inner monologue on his violent thoughts and like wanting to kill people. Let's talk about Juliet. What did she even do in this book? She didn't do anything. She was just there. Like, she was just there. She was just doing things that other people made her do because she was, like, a robot or whatever. And, like, she didn't do anything. And in the first few books, Juliet was, like there. She was like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna kill this guy. I'm gonna take over the world. And then here she's just like, oh my god, I'm in a coma. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm a robot. Like, she didn't do anything. Like, she didn't even drive the story. She's like the protagonist, and she didn't even drive the story. She was just like a passive background character, which I don't know. I just wish, I don't know. I don't want to like get hated on, but like, I just don't think, like, she just didn't really drive the story at all. Kenji drove the story. Kenji and Warner drove the story, and Juliet, it was just like a rescue mission for Juliet. And it's like why? And I feel like so much more could have fitted into this book. Well, I know that like it shouldn't cater to me, but there were so many scenes that I felt should be there, and it just wasn't. I want to talk about Emmeline, but honestly, I don't really have an opinion. Like, I didn't really care. I don't know. I didn't care when she died. It's hard to care for her when you don't really know her, you know? Like, we didn't really get scenes with her, except for, like, that one scene where they were both, like, kids, I think. And Juliet was, like, leaving. I don't know. But, like, it's hard to feel for a character you've never really met. The fact that, I'm not sure if this is correct, but the world is an illusion because of Emmeline, and the world is actually not destroyed. It's just her making it look like it's destroyed. And I felt like that was such a convenient plot point to fix the world, because in the first trilogy it's like the world is actually destroyed. This is like super dystopian, like everything is ugly, the sky is like gray. And then in the second trilogy it's like, oh, the world is fine, but Emmeline is just making it look like it's not. And that was just such a convenient way to fix the world. Just kill Emmeline and it would like be back. And I'm not sure about this because like I don't really remember, but I think that was it. And like I just think that was too convenient. Now to talk about the ending, it honestly didn't feel like an ending. Firstly, the ending of Ignite Me didn't really feel like an ending, and I was like, whatever. But even this, it also doesn't feel like it's just like there. I don't know, I don't want to like, oh. I guess again it goes back to me wanting so much more that wasn't there. So that's why I didn't feel like it was an ending, because so much more could have been there. Ugh, no, I'm so sad. I'm not talking about the ending by like the page exactly, but like how the story concluded. Like there were like loose ends, like I don't know, like what, you know? Like what happened when they confronted Adam? And like who is ruling each continent now? Wait, did they mention that? And it was like, I finished this book at like 10 a.m. Like I don't remember anything. I don't know. I don't want to get into like the ending too much because I don't really remember, since it was like so late and my brain wasn't really working. But I do remember that like I was kind of like, this is it. Like that's the ending. Anyways, those were my thoughts of whether I think Imagine Me was a great conclusion. I don't think it was, but I do think it was done well in a few ways. There were cute scenes that I liked, but there was also a lot missing, but we did get a lot of things that I wasn't expecting, like Anderson's kind of human side. But just taking it all in as a whole, I don't think it was that great, and that is coming from one of the biggest fans of the series. I have like 3 copies of all the books, paperback, hardcover, signed, exclusive. I have the ARC as well, the ARC of Unravel Me. I have everything. I love this series. I grew up with this series. I was like 10 when I read I was like 11 when I read the first book, and I'm 19. I grew up with the series. I love it. So I don't want to attack it. I'm just being honest about my personal thoughts. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you think down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Goodbye.